In a previous video, we discussed the important concept of SAS formats, and a concept of similar importance that also ought to be discussed, which is actually similar in nature in many ways to that of SAS formats, is SAS labels. So I've already gone ahead and imported our data set A. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. This is a nice fresh import of data set A. And we have the various variables contained within our data frame, A, B, C, W, X, Y, and Z, and the observations contained within each variable. But let's go ahead and investigate one of these variables. We do that by double-clicking on the variable column. And as you can see, within the column attribute menu here, we have the name of the variable, which is A, and the label for the variable, which is also A. So name of the variable is A, label of the variable is A. But we want to apply our own labels to these variables. And I'll explain why momentarily, but let's first get the application on. So let's close out of here, and let's close this view. And let's use this code here to perform this function. So in each case, we have the label statement, we have the corresponding variable, and then adjacent to the variable, after the equal sign, in single quotes, we have the name of the label which we'd like to apply to the variable. So it's important to mention that the variable names will remain the same, but the labels will change. So again, we're not renaming variables here. We're just applying labels. And we only need to do this once, whereas with formats, you need to apply them with the beginning of each SAS session. With labels, once you apply them, they're on there for good. So let's go ahead and take a look at our data now. So as you can see, now our data has data labels. So let's take a look at the first variable within this data frame. As you can see, the variable name is still A. However, the label on there, variable name is A. The label name is this. For this variable, the name of the variable is B, but the label is. Now you might be wondering, well, this is wonderful that we've achieved this, but what is the purpose? Well, when you're working with data as a researcher, or as a data scientist or analyst, or whatever your role may be, the data that you work with typically is going to have the variable names, which contained the data for the observations of whatever the study was. So if you're running some sort of survey, you might have the name of the particular variable. So let's say you're doing a survey on the weight of females over the age of 65. Well, this might be W65. But when you're producing reports or performing analysis, the output of that particular analysis, or the output that you have for your reports, you're not going to want that to be W65 or WM65 or whatever the name of the variable is. You're going to want that to be the corresponding survey question. So the label in that case, you'd want to change to that corresponding survey question. So it would be easier to read and easier to reference in your output and in your reports. So if we were to run a proc freq on the data initially, as it was prior to the application of the labels, it would resemble this first table here. This is the variable name, and this is the variable label. Now, after we've applied the labels, and then we were to run the same proc freq statement again, so we were to run this again after the application of the labels, we would then have this here, which is this being the label and A being the name of the variable from which the label was applied. Now, don't get confused. As you continue to do analysis or, perform whatever research that you'd like to on the data which you're utilizing, you're going to have to continue to refer to the variable by its name. So this is fine. And any other SAS functionality which you utilize will have to refer to the variable, whatever the variable is, by its name. So A, B, C, whatever the variable name is. You are not going to be referring to the variable by its label. As you recall, A is now labeled this. So if you were to run some sort of task within SAS and you were utilizing the label as opposed to the variable name, it would throw an error. And that's exactly what happened here. So it's very important to understand the distinction between variable name and variable label, and why variable labels are so important and appropriate in certain instances. So with that, I hope that this assisted you in whatever task you're looking to complete as far as your research or understanding is concerned. And thank you for stopping by. Consider liking and subscribing, and have a wonderful rest of the day. Take care.